Hey everyone, I'm Tsunami. Welcome to my new video. Today's video is a very relaxed sketchbook session. So if you like, grab yourself a warm drink, get cozy, or maybe draw along with me while you watch. On this day, I really felt like painting, but I didn't quite know how to start. So I grabbed my favorite vintage wildflower book and chose a flower that spoke to me visually. That's usually what I do when I don't know what to paint. I pick up a book and look for a reference that inspires me. I don't copy it one-to-one, I reinterpret it in my own way. In this case, I chose this beautiful yellow wildflower, what's similar to a dandelion. What really caught my eye was how the blossoms looked like little fans, and I kept that shape in my sketchbook version. After that, I researched hares and deer and found a lovely reference that I then turned into my own little creature. It somehow became a mix of a hare and a deer and maybe even a little desert mouse with long, elegant legs. I rarely paint animals except for birds. I'm always a bit afraid I won't get them right, but this time I pushed myself. If I never tried things, I won't improve. And honestly, I really like our little friend here. For the empty space in the top left corner, I wanted to add some mushrooms. Again, I flipped through a book, an old vintage mushroom book, studied roughly how I wanted to paint them, looked at the shapes, at the mushrooms, and then just started. Around the mushrooms, I added tiny little water spirits flying around, floating in the air. I loved the idea of including a magical element here, and the water droplets helped me fill some of the empty spaces on the page. At the end of the sketching phase, I decided to be brave. I knew I wanted some kind of background behind the light mushrooms. And in my mind, the hare deer was also meant to stay quite light in light colors, so I quickly sketched in a soft wavy shape to mark where the background would go. I was already really happy with the sketch. Then I took out my Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors. These are Japanese watercolors that are a bit more opaque than traditional ones. They almost feel like a mix between watercolor and gouache, and I really love to work with them. Once I had decided on my color palette, I started with a flower. These Japanese watercolors are completely non-staining, which means you can easily reactivate them once they've dried. That allows you to take your time while painting. I love mixing colors directly on the paper, adding a touch of one green, then another green right next to it. I did the same with the petals, just letting the colors softly blend into each other. With these paints, you just have to be careful not to apply them too thickly. Unlike a gouache, they can dry slightly glossy if the layer is too heavy, which can make it harder to draw over them with colored pencils later. So I use enough water. That way the surface stays matte and the paper texture remains visible. By the way, this is the Strathmore Mixed Media sketchbook. I really love the paper. It's 100% cotton with a very minimal texture, almost smooth. It can handle a lot of water, and so far I haven't had any issues with any medium I've tried in it. I would love to make a dedicated video about it soon. Next, I choose a beautiful creamy color that reminds me of buff titanium. With that and a soft pink, I painted the mushrooms. Just like the flower, I let the colors blend directly on the paper. For the hair deer, I wanted a light fur tone. I mainly used the pink and added a muted dusty rose for the shadows. The ears, feet and tail tips received a deep blue. Since I knew I wanted to work with colored pencils on top later, I only planned to use one watercolor layer. I basically just laid down a base that I could build upon. For the water spirits, I picked a very light sky blue and used the same darker blue for the shadows. It was so fun painting all the little droplets and stars. For the eye of the hair deer, I chose vermilion, a beautiful orange leaning red, and then I was brave again and used that same red for the background. I was honestly so relieved that I didn't ruin everything. I really love the bold pop of color in the background. Then it was time for colored pencils, adding shadows, outlines, depth. It is always one of my favorite parts because that's when everything really comes together and starts to feel finished. It also helps me push the contrast much further, especially when I've only used one watercolor layer. It makes such a difference. Suddenly it doesn't look flat anymore. The colored pencils I'm using here are from several different brands. I'm working with Arrtx Colored pencils. They are beautifully soft and I really enjoy using them in my sketchbook. I truly like them a lot. However, they don't have the best light fastness, so I only use them in my sketchbooks and not for finished pieces that needs to last. The others I'm using are Faber-Castell Polychromos, Caran Luminance, and Derwent Drawing pencils. I've been using these three for a long time now and I absolutely love them. They are all very high quality and light fast, which of course makes them a bit more expensive, but they are definitely worth it. And recently I added Holbein colored pencils to my collection. I ordered a few colors at the end of last year and I really enjoy them as well. The color laydown is so soft and smooth, and I feel like they have the perfect core consistency, if you know what I mean. I will definitely be adding a few more colors in the future. I have to admit, the only thing I truly struggled with were the mushrooms on the background. I just couldn't quite achieve the contrast I was aiming for. Maybe a second watercolor layer with a shadow tone would have helped, especially on the mushroom caps. I worked on it for quite a while. You don't see that because I cut a lot out. Otherwise, it might have been a bit boring, I guess. In the end, I'm still not completely happy with the mushroom group, but when I look at the whole spread together, I do like it, especially right now while I'm dealing a little with an art block. What matters most to me is the joy of putting color on paper, trying new things, being brave, like with the bold background, because that's what helps me grow as an artist. I only briefly mentioned it, but I'm currently doing the 100-day challenge in my own way to find new ideas and grow creatively. I will definitely make a full video about it at the latest when I gave you a full tour through all the 100 days. Today it's day 25. By the time this video goes live, I will be a bit further. So far it's going well, but it remains exciting. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in the comments. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we slowly starting to see the first signs of spring. This week I spotted the first snowdrops, crocuses and winter aconites blooming. It instantly fills me with so much inner joy. I love spring. I love when nature slowly wakes up again, when everything turns colorful and green. Sometimes winter just feels a little too long for me. And I especially love opening the window in the morning and hearing the birds singing again. When the air starts to smell different, do you know what I mean? Like spring is in the air. Even though as I'm recording this voiceover, I'm still sitting here wrapped in a blanket with a hot cup of tea in front of me, but I'm really looking forward to those warm rays of sunshine. At the very end, I wanted the hair deer to stand out more from the background. I wanted to highlight it somehow. So I grabbed a sunny yellow acrylic marker and gave the whole animal an outline. That was another brave moment, but I trusted my gut and I love it. I'm so happy I did this. It also repeats the yellow from the flower in the bottom left, bringing it back into the top right corner and creating a nice visual harmony. This spread was so much fun. and sparked new ideas. The whole painting process felt relaxed and I was able to find that beautiful flow state again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and maybe even give it a hype. That really helps show YouTube that you enjoyed the video. And if you would like to stick around, I'd be so happy if you subscribed. A huge thank you to my wonderful patrons, you are amazing. And by the way, this artwork is the February printable download, so if you would like to have it, feel free to check out my Patreon. And for March, it will be this one. So, then have a beautiful week, my friends. I will see you in the next video. Take care of yours, yours Tsunami.